it, but the first thing every wholesaler that goes nationwide, the first thing they do is they lock up some hood property.
Yeah.
They think they're getting an amazing deal on it. They think it's either a great rental because of how cheap it is and what the rents are, or they're going to be able to flip it because they're getting it for 10K. And it's just funny because you'll lock up a bunch of those before you realize people don't like them. So
Hey guys, before we start, drop a like, follow, and subscribe.
Coming in hard. Welcome to CEO Confessionals, business talk for entrepreneurs, real estate wholesalers, investors, and lenders. From beginners to rising starts to moguls. This is CEO Confessionals with Thomas Heil. CEOs confessing their highs and lows, telling you what it takes to be on top.
Here we go. Hey guys, welcome to CEO Confessionals. I'm Thomas Howe, and today's guest is Brandon Sepulveda, the newly crowned CEO of Want to Sell Now, a nationwide wholesaling operation. Brandon, welcome, man.
I'm glad you're having me on here, bro.
So, Brandon, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So, see, pretty much, man. I'll take it all the way from the back on, kind of how I got here, right? Started off at an early age, just going through school like normal. But I knew since high school, I think what really got me started was my love of cars. I always I knew I just needed expensive cars. Like that's me. Like I'm still a car person to this day. So that ignited a fire at a young age, probably like 16, and that's when I knew I'm gonna need a lot of money.
Okay.
So I'll go back, deeper into more of that in a bit. But then I went to college, man, and got going, and that's where I met Nick Perry.
Okay.
Fast forward, met Nick Perry, who is the owner of our company right now. And after I graduated college, I got a full-time job at Indeed, where also Nick Perry was working. And 5 months, man, I was already checking in and out, going on our seller appointments, going to houses, viewing houses. And I knew that I just had to get out of that corporate quick. I'm really, really stubborn. It's tough for me to work for other people if they don't work as hard as I do. I will bust my ass for somebody that works super hard, but I have to see that. And you don't typically see that type of work ethic in a corporate environment where managers they're not doing it. So I bounced, I left, and after 5 months of graduating, leaving my 6-figure position and linking up with Nick Perry and growing the company. I mean, we took it from nothing to doing multiple millions of dollars a year now at this point, and it's pretty systems ran, and there's different team heads, and I mean it runs whether I'm there or Nick's there, it's still running. So lots happened over the last 4 years of doing this with Nick.
To circle back, you were making 6 figures while you were in college.
Right after college. So that was my full-time, right? That was my full-time job after I graduated. My first job coming out of college. It was a good job. It was only 40 hours a week, 40 hours a week, 5 o'clock, 5:30, everybody's leaving. Free food, great benefits, and 6 figures.
That's awesome, man. So you're about 22, 23, making 6 figures off the bat.
Yeah.
So how are you able to do that? Because most early 20-somethings, they start out between 30 to about 65 with a college degree or 70. Mm-hmm. How did you get there?
Man, in college, I had good grades. Right? Yeah. I knew that grades were going to play a factor into getting a specific type of job. Initially, I was going for accounting until my professor asked one day, she said, "Is this what you guys want to do for the rest of your life?" I was, boom, changed my major the same day. I was like, hell no, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. So I changed it to finance, double majored in marketing, and got really good grades. I participated in the extracurriculars, right? The clubs, the meetings, the events. I was also volunteering. So I was doing a lot to make my resume stand out. And then you do have to go to the job fairs. Like, you're not just going to get these jobs.
Yeah.
So for this specific one, I went to the job fair 3 times to talk to the Indeed rep because they wouldn't schedule me an interview. He kept saying he was going to do it, and he kept forgetting. So finally he said, "All right, do you want to interview right now on the spot?" I said, "Yes." So we interviewed in front of the line, and they set me up and got the internship. from there, I was like one of very, very few that got the job in the country.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, it was it was a lot of work to get the internship. I was the only one in the Austin office or in Austin location that got it, and yeah, it was a blessing because all I really wanted was a good job just to hold me over to figure something else out.
Okay. I find that interesting because I planned on becoming an architect. Then when I was in high school, I talked to someone and they're like, they don't make money. Then I switched over to accounting. And after my first semester of accounting, I'm like, dude, fuck this shit. Then
Yeah,
I took my first finance class, boom, fell in love with it. And then I concentrated on real estate development, actually.
nice.
So we have a very similar path
Yeah,
in accounting. Not for us.
no, man, finance is so much more fun. So much more fun.
So it's like accounting is like a science, finance is an art.
Exactly. Yeah. No, the accounting, I did like one full year of those main courses, and man, no, I should have never done all that.
Yeah, I felt your pain. I know
Yeah,
how that is. It's very painful.
it's a lot.
Yeah. So you did very well in school.
Did
So
very well in school.
you did finance. You got a job at Indeed. Prior to that, in your childhood, how were you as a kid? Like when it comes down to business, when it comes down to sports, were you
Yeah,
super competitive? How were you?
extremely competitive with everything, and I still am today. But this, you know, part of it probably had to do a little bit with like anger, right?
Mhm.
Growing up, we went to, I think it was 6 elementary schools that I went to. We moved around a lot.
Wow.
Things weren't always the best. I don't really have many good role models. And, you know, something that was always big to me is I see like, you know, I see families or I have friends that they have get-togethers on Christmas or Thanksgiving or holidays. And it's really an amazing thing that most people don't realize that they have, if they have that.
Yeah.
Because I've always see it as like, well, my Thanksgiving, my Christmas is me, my mom, and my 2 brothers, and sometimes my nephew now these days. And it would be a nice thing if you had like a family, right, where you see on movies and everybody's eating, and so I don't really have that because most, you know, I won't get into detail on this part, but most of my family are they haven't done much, or they've been terrible examples for me in and out of prison, drugs, just a lot of things. And what as a kid, I became really competitive, probably because some of that anger, and I just wanted nothing to be like that. So for me, it was always my mom, and I knew that she was the only one that broke out of her situation in her family. So if she's doing that, I was like, I'm not gonna fuck up the chance that she has given me, because I could be like every one of my cousins in and out of jail. You know, I have cousins that have done terrible, terrible things, serving life, and I could be one of those kids. So she gave me that opportunity. And so from elementary school to middle school to high school, always A's and B's, always done sports. I volunteered in high school. I earned all my scholarships through essays. Like, so I just knew, don't fuck this up. And not only are you not going to fuck this up, but you're also going to retire your mom. So that's been my number one focus, which now I have a bigger mission in life, but that's been my number one for a long time, which is why I've always done well. I just wasn't going to mess up the chance that it was given to me.
So it's like the saying, I read this somewhere. There's one guy that's an alcoholic and one guy that's successful. And the guy that said he was an alcoholic, he said, well, my dad was an alcoholic. That's why, yeah, it's part of my genes.
Yeah.
And the guy that's super successful, he's like, well, my dad was an alcoholic, so I don't ever want to be like that.
Right.
So that's where it's like a lot of people don't realize you have a path you want to take. Either you go for something completely opposite or something is the same. Just trying to break that curse, which is a hard thing. And there has to be one person that breaks that generational curse.
Yeah.
That will have a trickle effect for multiple generations.
Oh, yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something that I've talked to my mom about and I've expressed to other people, even in the office the other day when we were doing a specific training on like mindset and greatness. And I knew somebody had to change the trajectory of what our family's always done. we can't just keep going generation and generation like they're living it, Section 8, $25 rent, like it's just everything. So I'm going to be the one that changes it. And most of my family now won't follow because of how far in they are. But hopefully, generations down that see me as somebody successful, maybe I can teach them to not do what they see their parents or cousins doing. So that has always been something too that I've thought about and is really important to me.
Okay. Now, one of the things I want to ask you is like growing up, you mentioned you were angry, but how did you really feel in the predicament you were in? Like
Yeah.
your early teens, high school, middle school. How did you
Mhm.
really feel during that time?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time asking myself, trying to figure it out. Because when you're young, you don't always know. Right. And I think it was a mixture of just feeling like one, your parents split up.
Uh-huh.
That's a big one, right? We didn't have a close relationship with our dad, which, you know, it always hits. Like some people take it well. I did well with everything that I did, but at the same time, it still sucks. Like who doesn't want to have a dad?
Yeah.
So that's probably the biggest part of it is the issues that we've had with him over the years and not really having a dad. But then, like I mentioned earlier, every holiday, it always crosses my mind like, where's my family at?
Yeah.
It would be really nice if there were more people at dinner tonight. So those things kind of made me feel alone. Like friends don't really fill the void, right? So yeah, that's how I felt for a long time. But
Well,
now things are changing for different reasons. So I have a whole new career, I have a work family that depend on me. So a lot of what I do is my happiness now comes with helping them and soon to help others. Yeah.
yeah. So now, fast forward, you graduated college, got a job at Indeed. And from my understanding, you're one of the top producers at a young age at Indeed, which is, you know, pretty unique itself.
Hmm.
What,
Yeah.
how did you become a top producer over there?
Honestly, man, I think it's just anything that I do, to be honest. Like I joke, but I'm serious when I used to tell people I was like the best at Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
All right. I got more raises than anybody. My goal was how can I close quicker than everybody else? My burgers, my pickles are perfectly placed on the burger. Like it just all had to be right. And I did the same thing in the construction business and the pavement striping, and same thing. They were like sliding me gift cards on the side, not telling anybody else. The supervisors that made 150K a year, they couldn't even get me fired if they wanted to when I caused problems. Because like if they
That's
weren't
power.
working, I would tell them like, nah, you need to come work too. Right. I don't care that you're the supervisor. But that was the thing. Like everybody knew that I was going to produce. So the heads in that company knew they wouldn't let anybody try to get me off their team if they knew that that was the right person for the job. So same thing at Indeed. I mean, even now, right? It's just I don't know how to do anything less.
So then you got an internship at Indeed, and Nick was your supervisor.
Yes, so he was like one of the team leads at the time.
Uh-huh.
So they had multiple sales teams, and I just happened to be an intern on his team, which was like the guys that had been doing it the longest, right? They're the vets there
Yeah.
doing good on sales. That was like the A team there. And that's where I met Nick as an intern, as a young intern.
So I'm assuming that Nick took a liking to you, or you did something for which raised his eyebrows because there's hundreds of people that come through, even when I was in my corporate job, that then you see that one star. Did you approach him or he approached you?
Yeah. So, I mean, at the beginning, we talked to each other because we're on the same team. Like I remember, I think maybe the first day,
Mhm.
we went to a team lunch. So, there was already interaction there. But yeah, as the internship went on, gave me opportunity to get to know him better and him know me. And I would talk about how I was interested in like first rehabbing, and then he was telling me, what he does, and he's like, no, you need to do wholesale, and then stack up as much money as possible, and then you want to buy assets that are going to make you passive income. So that's where I first learned about the idea of wholesaling was through him. And I would see him working on that stuff, and I would chat about it. And then of course I went back to finish after the internship and came back full time and continued, except our conversations got deeper into it. And he actually helped me do my first deal. While I'm out, indeed, my first wholesale deal, I started everything myself, and he was giving me advice along the way, like zip codes and everything. So yeah, it started there, and that's when I knew that the whole work corporate thing wasn't going to last too long after those conversations at the internship.
So it seemed like he was like a big brother to you right there, like
Yeah,
helping you out.
yeah, yeah. It definitely, and that's how I feel more so when I came back full time, because he really did help me a lot. He already went through everything he was going, so he told me, hey, get your data here. Okay, cool, got it. Here's some zip codes. Got the zip codes. This is where I do my direct mail. So I just plugging what he was already doing and just doing it all myself. And so once I got my first deal, I remember being at that house, and I called him, and I was like, I told the seller, hey, I'm gonna go call my partner. And I walk outside, call Nick. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing right now. So he just said, go back in, and I forgot what I said. And I left the contract. She wouldn't sign it right there. But she ends up calling me back. She signs it, and then he dispoed the deal, and we split it.
Awesome. So you guys were joint venturing when you started.
Yeah, the first one, I almost had a second one. But I mean, shortly after that, like I quit and left. So I didn't even keep doing my own thing for that long.
So you got your first two deals or first deal, then you quit that, or you quit Indeed?
No, so I got my first deal, and then I remember having the conversation with him about leaving. He said he's planning on this thing growing and blowing up, and we talked about it, and I said, I'm down. I said, let me collect this bonus that's about to hit in like 2 weeks, and I'm out. So I waited out the 2 weeks. I had recently done the wholesale deal, and then I got my bonus as well from Indeed, and peaced out.
So you left a job, young age,
Yep.
making six figures,
Yep.
and you went to a job where it's uncertain.
Yeah. If I'm being honest,
Why did you do that?
Yeah, I thought, well, the first part, just that type of work environment is really, really difficult for me. Like, it's great and the money's great, but I would probably be happier like actually working construction. Like something about, I sit at a desk now, but something about sitting there in an office, in a culture, which is great culture, but that it feels like you're trapped. And I didn't need to be there for years to feel like that. It's just not my personality to be in situations like that. I hate it. So that's a big part in itself. Just how the hell do I get out of here? Without even caring so much as what's the next thing. And then the second was like the vision, right? What could happen if we're putting in the work towards this goal? Well, it didn't just start off all hot, but that was it. I took the risk and left and never turned back. So
yeah. So fast forward 3, 4, 5 years, you and Nick are working side by side each other.
mm-hmm.
Now, one thing Nick mentioned, that you are his right hand man. When he's gone, you're basically running the show.
Mm-hmm.
And he also mentioned that when he came back, he felt like he was taking away your thunder. And a lot of people were already reporting to you.
Yeah.
And which made him feel a lot more confident. And as entrepreneurs, a lot of people have trouble with trust, especially small entrepreneurs that start. It's obvious that he has deep trust for you to elevate you to CEO.
Mm-hmm.
What characteristics or what did you do to say, I want to work with Nick and I want to be with him, as well as the other way around? I want Nick, I've proven to Nick that I'm being there, that I'm right there with them.
Yeah. So I never really, not once with being with Nick, ever asked for you know, a promotion, a title change. Right? Since the very, very beginning, it just happens
Yeah.
when we're doing things. I was forced to help train the next acquisitions hire. I was forced to help this person and train and teach, and so it just kind of developed that way. But you know, joining Nick before we had a team or anybody, there were people and they all left and they went down to me and Nick, right? Because we were struggling like a lot of people at the beginning. And here's the thing: is I stuck with Nick, and I remember even telling my mom. I told Nick this too. I stuck with Nick when I was racking up my credit cards just to pay my bills. I probably had more bills than I should have had, right? But I didn't think. Who thinks that at 22, 23 when they're going to be making 100K
Yeah.
a year? So yeah, I was racking up credit cards. It was a difficult time. My mom's car was getting repossessed and she didn't tell me. My mom was getting foreclosed on. She didn't tell me. So I had to wire in like 15 grand and then put a bunch of money into the house. There was a bunch of things going on. And I had no money. Credit cards. I was borrowing money from friends. And I remember telling her, I said, just Nick has a vision. Like, I know as long as we keep pushing, if he's pushing, then I'll continue to push as well. So I'm not going to lie and just say, I've done a lot, obviously, with this company and with Nick, but I'm not going to say that it wasn't like, it was his vision ultimately, right? And I trusted him so much to stick to that I was willing to stick as well. So, and I told him that too. So he had a big part in why I stayed for 2 years, a year and a half. And it was about 2 years when starting this nationwide thing that nobody was doing at the time, that had so many challenges that we just had to figure out. So that was a big one of why. And today, I mean, now our goals are just way bigger, and he got an e-com store and then I got an e-com store. He got trucks and I'm about to buy trucks, right? So he's really good at just starting shit, and then I'm really good at making it better. So
So would you say he's a visionary and you're more the integrator?
absolutely. Yeah. That's our roles.
And one thing about us, a lot of people say I'm an integrator as well. And one of the things that we like is just running operations, and we're grinders on
Yeah.
that side. Uh, in that, how has it been a challenge going from now an integrator now to running the entire operation as a CEO?
It's not really a big challenge in my opinion. And I say that because I've been doing this for a while. It's not like when he gave me the title, I didn't know it was coming.
Yeah.
He announced it in the room there. So that what I was doing the day before that, in that day, nothing changed. Right. I was over acquisitions. I was over dispositions. They literally nothing changed, except now he's really, really taking more steps back to let me just do whatever I want to run it. So that was the main difference. But he asked me, how do you feel? And I said exactly the same that I felt yesterday. My responsibilities are there. My team is there. It's not like I, cared less with my title change the day before. So it's still, now it's the exact same thing. it's the exact same thing. I do like the added pressure, and that's going to help me help the team. So other than that, man, no, I like it, but it's the same thing. I've been leading these guys for a while, and I'll continue to do so.
Okay. And right now, a lot of main role of a CEO is to increase profitability of the company.
Yeah.
Push the company forward.
Yep.
For the next 6, 7, 5 years, 6 months. It's more on the future goals of what needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Now the COO, there's a vacancy after you left. Has someone filled in that seat?
No. So I'm still running everything, right? I'm leading both sides. I'm still integrating. I'm watching all the numbers, the profitability, overseeing hiring. Of course, we have a lot of help, so it's not the whole funnel.
Mhm.
Um, but it was a unique thing that we had before. Did we really need a CEO and a COO? I mean, most wholesale companies don't have it. And so the way it's working now is that, yes, I am for a while, for the time being and for the foreseeable future, I'll be running it. Right. The whole thing was for Nick as a CEO was how can he remove himself?
Yeah.
And now that he's done that, well, I'll stay in place and continue to grow it and do what I need to do. So I don't, for the time being, I don't really need a COO. I don't think that there's at the size of the company and the volume and everything. I don't think that there's enough um, responsibilities for both, if I'm being honest. Also, really would hurt profitability if we were to put somebody in that place. So that's one thing we got to look at. More people, how do you pay them?
Exactly. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. Like, more bigger you are, bigger your overhead. Uh,
Yes.
One of the key things that I looked at when I started my company, and it came from the management consulting world and also the military. I'm all about um, building a company like the Goldman Sachs and the McKinsey of the house buying business.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said that numerous times. And for those who don't know who Goldman Sachs is, it's an investment banking company, which is like top level.
Yeah.
McKinsey is a management consulting company, which is top level. And of course, the military is great. So that's why one of the reasons why within my company, we have an up or out policy. And each of those firms had to either you survive, you sink, or
Mm-hmm.
you swim, basically.
Right.
Uh, Timelines of promotions are there within our company. Uh, and one thing that you guys really focus on and you guys dialed in are finding top talent.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. We definitely learned a lot over the last few years. I mean, we lost, we didn't have a big turnover, but we had some people leave for reasons that, I mean, even now we still talk to them, right? And they say, I miss working with you guys, everything. So they had their reasons. We've definitely fired more than we've um, lost due to people just leaving for turnover reasons. But now we have our core four guys, and we have some new hires as well. But they've all been with us, like, I think 15 months now,
Mm-hmm.
going on 15 months or 16 months. So four guys that will be going on a year and a half. That's pretty good for, at least as far as I know, for the wholesale business that we're running. And these guys are going to be with us for a while. So having four members being over 2 years, that's going to be pretty cool. Um, but what it came down to was one, having the vision for them as well. Just like Nick had a long time ago, and we've always had, it's still super, super important to keeping people, retaining them, but also bringing them on. Right? It's funny. I've had some conversations with people recently, and they think that the candidates just need to sell themselves to you as the company, and I'm like, no. In these interviews, I'm selling too. I'm selling why you should come work for us, what we're gonna do, and what we're about. So that plays a really, really big factor into getting those people on our team that think like us. And that's what we really want. You know, we're not trying to be the company that says, hey, we don't want you to have big goals because you'll leave us.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. We'll give us really good year and a half, 2 years, learn a bunch of shit, make sure we're set up before you leave, and that's fine. But we want people that think big because they understand what we're going through there, right? If they're the entrepreneurial minded individual, when we're going through a hard time, they'll stick through it too. When we're changing every single day, they're okay with it because we're just doing what we need to do. And so we started focusing on hiring people with that think big. And I scratched the whole, let me review your resume. I'll look at it. If it has some sort of experience, then I want to talk to them. But we scratched all those questions about their past job and their experience and this and that. And it's really like, hey, do you think you're a hard worker? Yes. Okay. And they say yes. Tell me why. What are your goals? Right? Do you read any books, podcasts, anything like that? why are you here today? And I really judged them on their answers. Like, it's the last guy. Well, I read this book. If I'm being straight with you, said I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I realized I just been on the wrong track, and I need to be propelling myself. So now I'm like, okay, who is this guy? I want to know more, and that's really what most of my questions are. I didn't even check that guy's resume, and our other hires checked it real quick, and then that wasn't important anymore. Right? I just want to know who they are, will they fit into their culture, are they a hard worker, and do they have a bigger purpose? If so, then you can be a part of our team.
So that's interesting. One of the questions that I started asking just recently, and I just implemented it last week, I asked them about 4 or 5 questions, and here they are. What do you want to gain from working with me?
Mm-hmm.
How much money do you want to make this year?
Yep.
How fast do you want to make the amount?
That's good.
And yeah. And then I ask them, the only thing that's keeping you away from that is you. I'm going to help you reach your goal, but this is what it takes.
Yeah.
To reach that dollar amount.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to get it in a year, it might not be realistic, but hey, man, you can get it in 3 years, but this is what it takes.
Yeah, that's big.
Yeah. Because it just comes down to the bottom line. It's like they're here working with you for a reason, and you find out their needs and wants. And if you could say, I'm going to help you reach that goal,
Mm-hmm.
then boom. And of course, you screen the right candidates, of course. But once you, and just completely transparency, and I just started using it, boom, I started getting really good feedback from people immediately.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's, some of those questions, like the how fast you want to make it, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good approach. Like I said a little while ago, I think too many people aren't showing that to the interview candidates, that there's got to be a reason that they want to work for you. Like, you could have some really good talent in front of you, but do you think that your company is that special that they just shouldn't take any of the other job offers that they can get? Like, and so, yeah, we try to let them know this is going to be a fun, awesome ride.
Yeah. And the reason why I ask those questions, like, I know exactly what they want and how fast they want to get there. And if I could support them to get to their goal, and that enables me to break down what they need to do to reach that goal.
Mm-hmm.
And now I have accountability. You want to reach your goal, right? Have you done this today? Have you done that today?
Yeah. It's so important.
Yeah. Yeah.
We do something similar. I just started each of them have a goal sheet based on their numbers and their goals, and we broke it down to exactly how much they need to make, and whether it's closed or how much they need to put up a sign. It's got all the numbers.
Yeah.
The only way you can hit your goal is if we do this on a weekly basis, and we'll continue to track it in every one of our one-on-ones where you're at.
And absolutely, I think it's one of the things that a lot of talented people, or even employers, are afraid to ask. Now I'm just very direct. You want to make it, this is what it takes. If you don't want to do that work, then you're not going to make it at this company.
Yeah.
It's more of a disqualifier.
Yeah. One of our guys told us what he wanted to make, and I was like, oh shit. Okay. Well, let's write it down and see. This is what it's going to take to get there. Yes. So, that's your goal. Then I'm going to tell you, this is what you're going to have to do. So when you get tired, remember that's your goal. Oh, so that's the only way we're going to hit it.
And a lot of people, they say, I want to make $5 million this year.
Yeah.
But do you have that $5 million work ethic to make?
You won't sleep.
Exactly. Exactly. So, Brandon, one of the reasons why I relaunched this podcast is to let people know that as an entrepreneur, even as a CEO, they're the highest of the highs and lowest of the lows. Mm-hmm. Could you tell us a period of time when you had a super low point while working at Want to Sell Now?
My lowest point was when we were just starting, though. It wasn't in my current seat with the team and everything. So I can share that with you, but it wasn't like in our current atmosphere. Yeah. Because things have been going better for a while. All right. So I'll go over that one because that's really the main one, to be honest. Uh-huh. It was when it was the early stages after leaving Indeed, probably maybe like 5 or 6 months in. Right. I had just wired 14K to keep my mom out of foreclosure. She didn't tell me, which pissed me off because it was like that week it was getting foreclosed and she knew for 11 months.
Wow.
So that I went to making very, very little money. I had just got a place to rent. And my mom was also losing her car. So I had to pay off her $2,500 on the car. It's paying all my bills. And not only that, I was pumping a lot of money into the house to try to get it ready for sale.
Yeah.
I was working there. I was going there almost every single evening and every weekend after getting off of work, doing what we were doing during the day. And it just, I mean, I'm working Monday through Sunday. I had no money. I was borrowing money. I started getting really desperate and asking people that I would never ask for money. Like, you know, we're friends, but like I was asking a couple of people that used to work at Indeed.
Yeah.
It's not like I was close with them. Right. So, and that's because I just tied up so much money into the house and I just kept throwing everything at it, but I had to get it ready for sale. Like I just needed it to be ready. And so the car, I came to the point too. I was asking friends to co-sign for me to get my mom off my car because I was going to lose my car because we both had the same bank and she was my co-signer.
Wow.
So I almost lost my car, which I couldn't believe was going to happen. I almost couldn't pay rent anymore. I was like trying to figure out how I was going to just not pay and tell the landlord. And I was getting to the point where I couldn't put any money into the house anymore to get it ready for sale. My mom almost lost her car. And it was just, I mean, that and then all the emotions and everything that was happening outside of it. That was for sure the hardest time of my life. And for me to be in the point of thinking, okay, I'm going to lose my car, my place, my mom's place. I was already falling behind on those mortgage payments again after catching it up. And it's just like, it was going to be a big, how do I come back from losing all that money too? Just putting it out there and not going to get it back with a bunch of credit card debt. So it was tough. And these things, you know, were early on with Nick. And so, you know, outside of that, just like, I was like, shit, I'm really losing everything right now. This fucking sucks. Like, so yeah, there's a couple of days like, I just had to cry. I was like, oh, this fucking blows, you know? So that was definitely the hardest time. Since then, once you start getting like team members in a team, I don't break very easy now because they depend on me. It's probably like, you know, I don't have kids, but you got kids. There's no way in hell that I'm going down anymore. And I don't get tired as easy. You know, I don't get exhausted or stressed out as easy because there's a bigger purpose of what I'm doing now at this point. So ever since we got a team, I've always had a responsibility to them. And now I'm a much different person as far as like letting things get to me.
So when you were going during that period, how did it affect you personally when it comes down to business?
Yeah. I would say I probably wasn't the most focused and productive person. That's for sure. But again, this was early stages. So what I do now is way more important than what I did then. So it probably still wasn't you know, I wasn't at a higher level then. So it wasn't as drastic as the effects on what it had on the business, but still, it's tough when you don't know how you're going to pay for anything and you're still trying to work every day. Like,
yeah,
you know, I'm just trying to get out of situations really. So yeah, I wasn't the most productive, effective person.
So you went from a rock star at Indeed to your personal life affecting you in your newfound startup.
Yeah.
And you weren't performing at your optimal peak that you normally do.
Not until I sold that house. got all the money to pay off everything. And what that really is that's my mom, if I'm being honest. You know, there's been a lot of these setbacks over the years where my mom out of nowhere will tell me I haven't had a job for 3 months. And it's like, shit, like, what are you did not tell me everything's good when we talk. And that was a setback also from her. She springs things on me and then she's like, I don't want you to worry. And it's like, well, how the heck can I not worry?
Yeah.
You know, I have to pay it. Like, I got to figure it out. I have to pay her car. I got to do this, and this has happened over the years. And, I tell her all the time, Mom, like, just come on, hang in there for a little while. I got you. Like, give me another year. But yeah, I should have never had to deal with that. Right. I mean, I say that, but people got to deal with things. But that's just something that she just slapped on me, and I had to do it. And same thing with a car. I never saw that coming up. So all of my real debt and all my real stress came from her situation, not mine.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's heavy, man.
Yeah. But I wouldn't change anything. I mean, no, it's all part of it. I may not be here if I didn't deal with that.
And that's one of the things that it makes you a lot tougher, just overall, because now when you dig yourself out of a very low point, that it only goes up.
If I go lower than that point, I don't know what I'm doing.
So, on the contrary, success also has a curse. Sometimes success, there's a thing, lottery winners, people that win lottery, several $1 million. Within 5 years, they're broke.
Yeah.
What have you done to make sure you check yourself so you won't go down the same path, or even your company or your partner or the owner of the company's Nick? What are you implementing to prevent that?
So within the company, every day I'm looking at numbers now. We are tracking all of our expenses pretty tightly. I have everything mapped out as far as a profitability standpoint. What's the max we can pay for payroll? What minimum threshold we need to at least hit. What's the max we can pay for G&A? So we have everything on there. I mean, we have coffee, we have waters, we have estimated mastermind trips we're going to take, the taxes on our office building, everything. So it's pretty much all on the commission, salary, general, and administrative. So every week, it's just a week by week basis. You got to take it week by week. Win the week. If I'm worried about the month, it's tough. So like our goal this week is I need 80K assigned. Yeah. So that's how I'm going to track it week by week by week. And then if it really gets to a point where we're struggling, I mean, we don't need to take as many mastermind trips.
Yeah.
Right. So good thing is our company's heavy commission base, and we can slow down our marketing if we really needed to, because we have a big database. So very easy for us to pump the bricks on expenses. So travel expenses, mastermind expenses, marketing, and still be able to pull the revenue out. And because our biggest two expenses are marketing and commissions, well, if our revenue goes down, commissions go down. And if our revenue goes down, then we're also going to be cutting marketing and make the guys go into the database and pull stuff out. So it takes a little more work, but there's deals there. So that's what we're going to do to make sure, because that's all about profitability at this point. We're not, I'm not focused on $1 million a month like we used to be. It's a lot of stress. It's a lot of time, and margins start going down after a bit.
And that's where it's like, I look at it, okay, if I can make $1 million and be at 71% profitability, and make $710,000, I'd rather make that than make $5 million in revenue and make the same amount of gross profit, net profit. So scaling does have its obstacles. Scaling does have its issues. You guys scaled nationwide. Mm-hmm. What were some of the biggest obstacles that you guys faced as your guys are scaling?
So two of the biggest issues that we faced were at the beginning, learning how to do like nationwide comparables, ARV offers. We were doing what everybody does, and I always joke about it, but the first thing every wholesaler that goes nationwide, the first thing they do is they lock up some hood property. They think they're getting an amazing deal on it. They think it's either a great rental because of how cheap it is and what the rents are, or they're going to be able to flip it because they're getting it for 10K. And it's just funny because you'll lock up a bunch of those before you realize people don't like them. So we did a lot of that, and we did it for over a year because at the time there wasn't really people teaching this stuff, or you
Mhm.
know, we pitched it in front of Sean Terry and Kent Clothier and Justin Colby, Pat Precourt at the time, and they were just like, what are y'all doing? And so learning that, it took a long time on learning how to comp, and that was before we had prop stream at the time. So it was a weird thing to learn how to stop fucking up on all your deals. So that was a big one. And the other one was just the dispo process at the time. Like,
Yeah.
if there was somebody there at that time that could have told us how to sell these deals easy, I mean, Nick was on a mission like every month trying to improve our dispositions process. And it wasn't until we figured out on Roar how to blast out to all the agents in the area and all the investors in the area and have them start calling us and then pitching. That was when things started changing. And now we do have it better, but it took a long time to figure out how to really get properties moved quickly in a place that we've never been to.
And that's actually a challenge of mine. I have about 6 or 7 deals in a location that's pretty far from me, and
Yeah.
it's kind of a hood property. And I've just had a tough time moving those properties. I attempted the realtor route. I attempted every route, and it was a no go.
They're still saying no.
Yeah, yeah. They're like, it's a war zone over there.
Yep. There you go. There you go. That's it's a common thing.
And the ARV is like, I got it probably around 20 to 30% of the market value,
Mm.
and still can't move it,
Yep.
which is crazy. No one wants to buy in that area.
Yeah. It happens a lot, and in a lot of areas too, because there's a lot of areas like that around the U.S.
So, so how do you figure out what markets to go to, or how to advertise to not those markets?
Yeah. So we still advertise in those markets. We're still doing our nationwide campaigns. So we don't really have many filters at all, and exclusions. We may have some exclusions with very small county populations, but other than that, we're pretty much everywhere. So when we get the lead, sometimes we'll just do a quick check on it, whether it's even worth calling or not. Then sometimes we'll call and say, what's the price? Does it need repairs? If it needs repairs, we're out. So we tend to not waste a lot of time anymore on those, because you never get big assignment fees ever. They're usually they're more difficult than the big assignment fees, to be honest. And they take way longer to sell. So no good is coming out of those. So especially when you scale up and you have a lot of properties in dispo, you really got to be careful on what properties you have those guys work, because they're just going to be busy working bad deals when we have deals in our pipeline right now that have money on them. So yeah, we don't really, we still get all those leads, but we know very quickly if we want to call them or not.
Yep. As you scale nationwide, who would you look to for advice or mentorship? You, Nick, the entire team, to scale nationwide.
Yeah. In the beginning, we didn't have anybody. And I say that, like, at least not that we knew of who was doing it. Right. Like I had mentioned, and we pitched it at the time to Sean Terry and Kent Clothier. And I think this was like mid 2018. We were already doing it, but it might have been earlier than that. But we were at an event, and all of them was like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just stay in your backyard? And we're like, well, because it makes sense. Like, we're getting away from all the competition. Yeah. And we just did a deal. It was our first deal, but it's proof of concept here. We're going to run with it. So at the beginning, I mean, we just learned everything the hard way. After that, when we were already going and we found out that, about Rafael Vargas and what they were doing. So we attended, and we loved that event. He wasn't full nationwide like we were, but they were in like 10 or 8 markets or whatever it is. So I got a lot of information from them and Steven Morales, and talking to the sellers and how they're looking at cash transactions. So we do that some. We still do it different, but that was probably one of the big ones for us. So yeah, once we were already established, we got a lot of value from them.
Yeah, I too. I'm a product of Rafael Vargas, and you know, it's like a lot of the big wholesalers, they are products of Rafael's course,
Hmm.
which is amazing.
Yep.
And kudos to Rafael for pushing everything forward and moving this wholesaling operation to more of a scalable type.
Yeah.
Um,
It was amazing.
so you guys started something called the Seven Figure Cartel.
A 7-figure cartel.
Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah. I've been pushing Nick to do this for a long time, and Kyler as well, right? Our director of acquisitions has been pushing for it for a long time as well. He's been pushing us to do social media. He'd been pushing us to get out there, and along with other people had always been saying it too, like Nick's fiance.
Me too.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of people, and we were never big on sharing what we're doing, not because we wanted to keep it to ourselves, but you wouldn't see us posting on Instagram. I don't post. Right? I'm just not a big social media person. Nick is not a big social media person, right? So neither one of us are out there. We don't post. It's just not us. It's not our who we are, our personality. And finally, he put it down as a quarterly rock, and he said, "Let's do it." And we did it. So now we have the 7-figure cartel. It's a course for people to learn how our business is structured and set up for the nationwide. Nick
Mhm.
goes into the PPC. We go into, what we're using on acquisitions or scripts, right? We give you an
Yeah.
overview of it. But really, the most important part of it is the members only mastermind group that we have, right? Bi-weekly accountability calls, and the ability for people to post in the group and get answers to questions and content that will continue to come out. Because there's never, ever going to be a course that comes out that answers every single question you're going to have for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
So that's what our group is for. And that's the real value that we're giving to members, is when you have a question, you can get an answer from either myself, Nick, or someone in the group. Because at the beginning, if I could call Sean Terry or Rafael Vargas or whoever and just send them a DM and they would actually answer my question, that would have made a massive impact to our company and the amount of time we would have saved on not doing stupid stuff. So that's what it really comes down to, is the group that we're putting together to help propel each other forward and save each other time and money.
Absolutely. Like this, I could say, guys, I am a member of the Seven Figure Cartel, and I've been right now studying a lot and in the process of executing. And
Yeah.
you know, it is my goal by the end of the year be full nationwide. Probably start my first campaign at the end of, I would say, April.
Mm-hmm.
But just learning the process
Soon.
itself, learning the process itself. I know I'm going to fail forward. It's all
Yeah.
good.
Yep.
It's part of the business. And with the Seven Figure Cartel, as you guys grow this, what is one of your biggest goals for the Seven Figure?
Honestly, that's not something that me and Nick have really discussed, but I feel like he's probably on the same page. For me, a lot of just what I've been getting into lately is actually helping people. So I think it'd be amazing seeing testimonials. Not that the testimonials are a way to make us money, they probably will, but I think it's going to be amazing when people can genuinely say that we made an impact on their life, their career. That's just going to be awesome. So not like me and Nick went through so much shit for so long to get this thing going how it's going. And, now people obviously they recognize, but bigger than that, like if people can say that we genuinely help them grow their business, that's going to be some pretty cool shit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So guys, what I want to say is like the Seven Figure Cartel. One thing I noticed from being a student is really actionable. It's not this foo-foo, here's this. No. Hey, here's what you need to do. This is what you need to do. Just follow my directions and execute.
Yeah.
And it's a step-by-step process, which most coaches don't provide. I know Rafael did that, but and I've been in plenty of masterminds and coachings, and there are a few that will actually tell you exactly what to do, not the theory. That's one thing I would say with the Seven Figure, which is a key differentiator from some other coachings.
Yeah. Yeah. It's huge. I mean, Nick all the time. He's answering questions in there, and yeah, he's giving for a lot of people. He's giving do this by the next call,
Yeah.
do this by the next call, and I mean that's massive. Like if you actually do it, you're making massive strides towards growing your business or just making improvements faster than you would if you didn't have that person there. So that's big.
As we know, there's a lot of wholesalers getting into this business.
Mhm.
What caliber of wholesaler needs to be in this? Is it a beginner, novice, or a super advanced guy?
Yeah. So the people that we think are right to join this, right? We have really advanced guys like doing multiple six figures a month, but at least be doing a few deals a month, ideal, right? So you understand the wholesale process. You know how to at least dispose some deals. You know how to lock up deals, right? If you just did your first one or two, we want somebody that's been doing deals per month, whether it's two or three, but at least you've been doing it for a few months. So you know what you're getting into, you know what the process is like at least, and then we'll help you get further than that. But we've had a lot of new people hit us up that have questions about it, and we're like, hey, take Sean Terry's course first.
Yeah.
Learn how to get some deals. Once you learn how to get some deals, then you can come, because we're trying to help people grow their business or tweak their business, not teach them how to start a business.
Yeah. Guys, I could clearly tell you this is not for beginners. If you haven't been in the game for a little bit, for some time, close deals, this is going to be challenging. So I highly suggest exactly what Brandon said, get some deals under your belt. Once you get some deals under your belt and also have a significant amount of cash pile, if you plan on doing PPC immediately, and execute. That's the key thing. Taking massive actions is what enabled Want to Sell Now expand at a rapid rate. And Brandon, right now you're pulling in easily 6-figure weeks or near to 6-figure weeks, correct?
Yeah. So that's probably where we'll stay. I mean, but between probably 300 and 400K a month is where I want to be, right? As long as I'm staying in there and my margins are, I don't have to continue this look for more personnel. And when you have good people, it just keeps running. Like we were even more lean before that, and everybody in their seats, man, talk about not having to deal with a lot of issues and just bull. So yeah, we want to stay there and stay lean. So we'll always do, over $3 million a year, and we'll keep it lean. We used to have a lot more people and a lot more issues, and I don't want to go back.
Well, Brandon, that's a great advice, man. I really appreciate you coming on. And guys, if you guys have any questions, feel free to DM Brandon or myself. And
Absolutely.
7-Figure Cartel, I could tell you right now, hands down, very actionable. If you execute it and you're smart about it, you will succeed. It's really up to you to succeed or not.
100%. It's a no-brainer.
Yep. And on that note, we're signing off, guys. All right. And